All right, everyone. Continuing with what we talked about in the previous video, um, news, right? The fuel of the markets. What's gonna move the markets in? You know, um, there's a lot of money to be made with the moves that happen with major, high volatile, major impact news releases, right? Um, okay, so I generally use this investing.com economic calendar. Um, do not use any other website to keep a track of the news releases. Works fine for me because, as we've discussed, there are some high impact news releases that are always going to be present on any website, right? Those are the high impact news releases. So they're going to be there no matter what. So let's get right into it, and then we'll talk about a few other things as we're getting towards the end of our course now. There's not a lot left to teach you guys. It's just where you put your stop loss and logic behind that. And then I personally take profits along the way. It's up to you where you want to take partials, whether you want to keep it running for a specific risk to reward. It's totally up to you. But I'll tell you guys what I personally do with my trades. Okay. So I hope you all tried and go back to back test whatever's been happening in the markets at the time of high impact news releases. I've told you how you should do that. Just give me 1 minute, please. Okay, so you want to go to the economic calendar and you want to go uh, back to the dates. Check wherever. Let's say we go to July, June to July. Okay. So, no. What? Why aren't you going back? Hold on. August. Oh, I didn't select the date. Okay. Let's say 1st to 31st. Okay, there we go. Right? So you'd be able to see when the time, according to your time zone, you can adjust it from up here after you sign up. You can go into the options, adjust your time zone, and according to your time, you'd be able to see when a specific news was released. And then you go to the chart, and I really don't know how you do the go to on this, but you can just go up time frame on a higher time frame and figure that date out, mark it up, and then go lower on time frames and see what happens at the time of that news release. Okay, what I'm going to talk about here is today. Yesterday we had a wonderful example of the same scenario. Unfortunately, I could not get in on this trade. I was basically watching euro dollar to buy and euro CAD to buy, um, pound dollar to buy, pound CAD to buy. So I was basically looking to sell dollar and CAD. The reason why is because if I show you yesterday, today is Saturday, that is um, August 5th, the day that I'm recording the video. So yesterday, that was August 4th, Friday, we had NFP, non-farm payrolls, and we had CAD, employment change and unemployment rate, right, at the same time. This generally creates a lot of volatility in the market. So I'm very keen on trying to trade at this news. Anyway, so what actually happened was, if you take a look at the overall trend on what's been happening on euro dollar. This is a massive buy that started down there, went all the way up to there. In comparison, you just have choppy pullbacks. Right? In comparison, if you just take a look at this, right, this is a very strong sell, but in comparison to this move up, this is a very choppy pullback. So of course there are some sells along the way because new territory on 60 minutes, pulls back twice as we've discussed, goes down, pulls back again, brings in buyers, sells again. The reason why is because the momentum start to shift to the sell side for the time being, right? If I show you the higher time frame, let's say 240, you can clearly see a massive buy that happens from down here all the way up to there, and then choppy pullbacks, right? Just gonna go ahead and clear all of these brushes so that we can talk about it furthermore on a clearer picture. Okay, there we go. All right, so NFP is coming near. It's just, choppy, starts to get choppy around here, right? Massive cells come in, starts to get choppy, and then strong buyer comes up and starts to hold higher. Where is the buyer coming up from? Somewhere to the left side, there is a resistance or a resistance that got broken and turned into a support, right? We can clearly see there's a range here, and the range gets broken into an uptrend. Massive buys. In comparison, you're still slow, but you pick up pace here, and then you're slow again, right? Slowing down, and then the buyer comes up and starts to hold. As it starts to hold, this started to happen on Friday. Let's go down to 60 minutes. Yeah. Okay, hold on. So there was basically another news on Thursday on dollar that came out as negative, but there was no buys that occurred. There was no buys that happened. So I personally was a little confused because there was no movement by the news, but that happens at times, right? It's not always going to be what you think it's going to be. It can be different at times. It can be the same, as you can see the same thing over and over again. At times it can be different. So you've got to stay on your toes to try and understand what's happening in the markets, right? So Thursday, Wednesday, still selling. Wednesday it sells. Thursday, the buyer comes back, and then if you go lower on the time frame, let's say 15 minutes, you can see that no matter how many times this last bit of seller on 15 minutes has tried to sell, but has been failing to make a lower low or even a lower high, right? Just comes back up and, challenges, goes down again aggressively, cannot go down, right? News comes out. Let me see the time. Yeah, around New York Stock Exchange open on 3rd. That was Thursday. The price buys, holds, buys higher. And since then, all you can see is the price has started to hold sideways. We've discussed this before in one of the videos. When the market is really quiet, just, not doing anything at all, that is basically this area that we are looking at right now on Friday. It's not doing anything, right? It's just slow sellers, slow buyers, but higher low. Very slow sellers, still slow buyers, but holding that low, right? And then NFP was about to come out. So you put one and one together, you come to a conclusion that, okay, I know that when the markets are really quiet, it's the calm before the storm. And I know a storm is coming today. That is NFP, right? I know a storm is coming today. So I'm going to sit back and watch where that storm takes the markets to. I gave you an example on Euro Aussie buy that I did take on Tuesday this week. And then there was pound interest rate that did not really make any new territories. So couldn't take a trade on that. You can, go back in your time, watch how a pound interest rate on Thursday on August 3rd played out in pounds. Okay? We'll talk about that some other time, maybe in the Zoom sessions. But as of right now, I want you guys to focus on the process. Okay? So here goes. All right. So we know that the storm is coming, and we're sitting back and waiting for the storm. The storm comes at 5:30 my time. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, sorry, yesterday. Take a look. 5:30 my time. Non-farm payrolls came out pretty bad for US dollar, right? If the news is green, that generally means that it's a good news. But then you got to compare it with how it was previously, what you were expecting, and how it came out. Okay, this is how this works. So last month it was 185K. This month they were expecting 200K, but it came out 187K. Right? It came out better than previously, but not as good as you'd expect it to be. Okay, so the price reacts as soon. Okay, keep this seller in your mind. We're down to 3 minutes, but keep this seller. That was the seller on 15 minutes. Keep it in your mind. Okay, we're gonna come up to here. I'm gonna show you something. So this line is where that seller sold, right? We know that. We've marked it. And we know that a storm is coming. So we're sitting back, we're watching what happens. It's this candle, as you can clearly see, right? You can clearly see. It's this candle when the NFP is released. Look at the timestamp down there. It's 17:30, 5:30 my time, August Friday. NFP releases. NFP takes the price lower, rejects from down there, goes higher, and closes above this 3 minutes candle. It closes above that 15 minutes seller that we've been looking at. And the next pullback, so as I told you previously that with these major news releases, I want to get in on the lowest of time frames. It's because there's so much desperation in the markets to try and get in. Generally, it just does a shallow pullback and continues to go, as you can see in this case. And this time, the pullback was so shallow that I personally could not get in on this. Why? Because what I want to see is, as we've discussed, or we saw in the Euro Aussie example, what I want to see is two sets of pullback. So here's what I was hoping for. I was hoping after the price had come somewhere around here, I was hoping that we come down again, poke below this, introduce the sellers into the markets, and then we'd buy. But we did not wait for that to happen. This NFP just kept buying. And you can clearly see how far the market goes, right? That's the power of news. You can see how far the market goes. Okay, let's do other dollar pairs quickly. Okay, let's see Aussie dollar. Not gonna get into the complete details of it. Just gonna show you what the markets have done. Okay, here we go. So you can see now how choppy the sells are coming down, right? And you know the storm is coming. So you go down to 3 minutes. Sorry, we were at 3 minutes there. We are at 3 minutes here. Okay, so as we've talked about the structure, right? Buys before the news release, right? It buys before the news release. The buy and puts in a higher low and a higher low and a higher high in all of this choppy sells, right? And then the NFP releases. The NFP releases, comes down, goes higher, closes higher. If you're down to 15 seconds, the pullback that's coming down, you can compare the momentum. You can do all of that stuff that we've talked about. Whereas on this pair, you can, maybe try and figure out an entry, but still, I could not have bought it up in here. I would have wanted it to come down one more time because one pullback, right? But comes down to an area where there was a bit of a sell that happened right before the news release when the price went down, and then it bought. Off late, afterwards it did come down again. It's still not all the way down to where you could have entered, but from here to here, this is a lot of money. This is a lot of money. You don't, really have to get in on moves that are coming for daily or 240 to be um, profitable or make a lot of money. If you're risking right and you have enough in your account, this is a lot of money from here to there. Still, it comes down again. It's because Aussie is also weak, right? Remember the Euro Aussie trade that I was in? I'm still in this trade. I'm still holding this trade. I'll take out some profits up in here because this is probably the weekly resistance. Yeah, I'll take some profits up in here, but I'll still leave some of it to run. Anyway, Aussie also weak, so it did pull back. But in that meantime, when the news was released, there is a buy in there because of that news. Take a look at pound dollar. Okay, before the news, choppy sells. The news comes out. Um, the news comes out. Buyer buys, closes above all of this mess, and pulls back. If you go down to 15 seconds, see, same thing. Exactly the same thing. You don't really see your buyer coming back, so no entries for me. So I would have wanted a test down after this move up, right? As this move has happened in this pullback, it's coming from an area of interest, right? You can clearly see it. Point of interest starts to turn around. After this move had happened, I would have liked a test into this area, and then we go higher. But what I'm trying to show you guys is the correlation and the trades that come in with the news release. No one will tell you this stuff. Trust me. I haven't come across a single person who talks about this. Let's do dollar Swiss franc. Okay. A little different, but this buyer is in control at this point in time. But if you go down to 3 minutes, you can see that before the news releases, we break through all of this little bit of range that is happening, right? NFP releases, shoots up, grabs liquidity, goes all the way down to there, new territory, right? Because if I clear all of this, hold on, just hold on. This is gonna blow your mind. Obviously, it is a little difficult to keep a track of all of these things, again and again, and that is why this industry pays so much. It's because anything that pays you so much, it cannot be easy, right? You gotta stay on your toes all the time. So we mark this. If you're down to 3 minutes, what do you see, guys? So this was that 15 minutes buyer that bought and went all the way up to there. And I'm honestly, in hindsight, there is an entry on dollar Swiss franc. We'll talk about that also. But no point in crying over hindsight. So let's just focus on what we're talking about. So the news releases takes the price higher, grabs liquidity as it did in all the other dollars as we've gone through them, and then it shoots down, goes all the way down to there. The pullback that comes in after the news release, go down to 15 seconds. Right? You don't really see the bigger seller coming back, because this move is when he shows that he's back. But on this, you can clearly see that the buys are dying, and it's in an area of interest and a perfect entry up here. But anyway, the reason why I could not trade this also is because I start watching them as a group, right? As I've mentioned before. So it was NFP that affects the dollar. I start watching dollar as a group, and none of them, basically, we've been through four. They did the exact same thing. All four of them, exactly the same thing, but none of them on 15 seconds on the lowest of time frames. I can go down to even 1 second, but that would be too fast, right? And it really hurts your P&L if you get into that fast trading. But this is still very fast, and you got to be really patient. You got to be really disciplined to be trading this lower a time frame. We'll get there, slow and steady. Okay, but you can clearly see what we've talked about. And again, no one would talk about this. Now, I don't know if they don't know it, because if I can figure it out, there are a lot of other people who can figure it out. I'm not a godsend. but I have never heard any single person in the industry talk about it. I'm sure you haven't either. Anyway, let's put an end to this video right here. Tomorrow, in the next video, we'll talk about CADs. The CAD also had negative news. The buys happened, but didn't really pull back. This did not really pull back. Dollar still did pull back. This did not at all. Anyway, about the power of the news is, what I want you to bring your attention to. So calling it a video now. Cheers, guys. I hope whatever we're talking about is making sense to you, because this information is really vital. As I think about it, I honestly, not to talk big about it or brag about it, but I talk about this to my team also, that the information that we're giving out, we're giving it out for peanuts. If you compare the potential and the value of this information that we're giving out, you guys are getting it for peanuts. Trust me. But we've done our part, right? We've given the information out. Your part now is to practice it, back test it, ask the questions that are necessary, ask the questions that confuse you. We're here to help you. And if you do work hard, I promise you there's nothing stopping you from becoming a millionaire or a gazillionaire or whatever you want to call it. Anyway, cheers, guys.